My name is Sharif Abdullah. I've been on this planet now for 57 years. I live right now in Portland, Oregon, which is arguably the best city in America. And I come from what is actually, beyond argument, the worst city in America, Camden, New Jersey. That was Time Magazine's assessment of several years ago. And I'm from the worst parts of the worst city in America. It's not um, it's a life that was tediously, monotonously oppressive. It's no more oppressive than anybody else's life. It's not like I had the worst childhood on the entire planet. But I was able to be given a glimpse of America's underbelly at a very early age. And I can remember at a very early age of being in public housing, living in condemned housing, um, being on welfare, negotiating the food stamps, doing all this other stuff. I had a sense, even when I was in single digits, that there was something fundamentally wrong with this picture. I had a sense that human beings were not meant to live like this and that there had to be a better way of living. While I'm living in the worst city in America, I could watch television and I could watch all the things that one could see on television. Both Ozzie and Harriet looked like they were having a ball. And I could see like the best of America, which could have been a fiction, and I could see the worst of America, which was my daily reality. And I said, these images can and should come together. And these were thought processes, again, I was 8 or 9 or 10 years old thinking about this. And when I was 12 years old, I had a kind of an epiphany moment where I gained the information that the cause of this oppression had to do with something that was called the white power structure. And I had no idea what a white power structure was, but I quickly found out. And I became part of the Black Liberation Movement at that time. We started an organization called the Black People's Unity Movement. It's still in existence in Camden. And we were doing things that were doing empowerment and self-help for African Americans. And the reason we were doing this was because this was my early take on my idea of creating a world that works for all. Because what I was trying to do is create a world that works for all black people. Because I could look on TV and see that all white people were fine, okay? And it wasn't until I actually got to college that I realized that there were a lot of white people that weren't quite fine. And so I changed my rhetoric to the liberation of black people, to liberation of black people and poor white people. I said, wait a minute, there's some other people on the planet that are not fine. And then by the time I got to law school, I realized that this planet, this world that we have created, doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for the people it purports to work for. It doesn't work for the people who say, I'm the captain of industry, I am the leader of the free world, I am the one that's in control. When you look at their world is as crazy as the welfare mother in Camden, New Jersey. Crazy with different resources, crazy with different life expectancies, but still crazy, still eating at the nature of the human spirit, still negating the human spirit. And so I realized that my work was global. It wasn't working for any particular group or for any particular cause or any particular ideology. It was that we have a human responsibility, and the human responsibility that we have is to create a world that works for all beings. Now, how we do that, I've been trying to come to grips with for a number of years. So I got my undergraduate degree at Clark University in Massachusetts, and I got my law degree at Boston University. And at Boston University, I started thinking about what is the power that actually gets society to move in a different direction. What are the kinds of things that we can do, and what are the kinds of things that we can use to help us to move into a different direction as human beings? And as an undergraduate, I'd flirted with political science because politics is power. And then I took a course in political science. It's like, well, there's no power in that. Then economics is power. And then I took a course in economics and said, well, there's no power in that. And I realized that I am a student of power. And you can't find a course of it in this country. You can't. You can go to any university that you want to name, and you don't find a course labeled, this is power. This is where you learn power. So Boston University is one of those powerhouse colleges. It's one of the ones that everybody tries to get into. And the graduates there go on to Congress, and they go on to become captains of industry, etc. But nobody there was really teaching us power, teaching us what is power, how do you get it, what do you do with it. And so in the workshops that I do through Commonwealth Institute, my organization, that's one of the things we focus on. Who's got power? How do you get power? What really is power? A lot of times people have voice, and so you're saying blah 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 blah, and you get people. People can be passionately moved by this voice, etc. But that doesn't mean that that person has power. To me, power has three aspects. Power is access to resources, power is access to information, and power is access to the decision-making ability. If you don't have resources, if you don't have the correct information, and if you don't have access to the decision-making ability, you don't have power. If you have all three of these things, then you do have power. So I've been going around in this country and going around in other countries to people who are theoretically powerless, people who say, I don't have power, and say, oh, wait a minute, in this situation, you do have the right information. You do have your own resources. You do have the ability to make your own decision, although somebody else may be telling you that you can't make this decision. But when you have these things, then yes, you do have power. That power to me comes from the power of connected human beings, of people who come together in a community. I call that inclusivity. Inclusivity being the idea or the notion that all of our lives are inextricably linked with each other. My life is linked to your life. My life is linked to whoever's watching this. And I don't have to know the person for our lives to be linked. I don't have to like the person for our lives to be linked. I'm not trying to create a popularity contest where everybody likes everybody. I'm trying to get us to the point that we recognize that our lives are inextricably linked on this very small planet. And if we don't start acting like that, if we're acting like I can drill holes in my end of the boat and nothing really happens. I can watch somebody setting fire to their end of the boat and saying, oh, well, that's them, that's their karma. When we start recognizing that all of us are inextricably linked to each other, then we can start seeing some things happening in a very, very different way.